What's going on, everybody? My name is Eason. Welcome back to another video. And today, guys, we're going to get into political power and territoriality. Very, very cool. So, let's get started. Now, in the image here, we see a demilitarized zone in Korea. And this is just the boundaries between North and South Korea. And it's a physical boundary. And a demilitarized zone is kind of just, we'll learn about this later. It's a kind of an effect between political events. It's an outcome, basically. And yeah. So here's a little bit of a question. How do Korean governments express territoriality, a desire to call their place or object their own, and defend it? And we're going to use the image to do this. If I can find my mouse, I can circle some aspects of territoriality. So here we can see armed guards. We see people just kind of standing here, waiting for people to cross so they can attack them. Security cameras as well. So maybe North Korea say, you did this. And then South Korea like, no, we didn't do this. I'm putting my laptop. Okay, there we go. And we also see trees. And trees and forests can serve as boundaries. So they can defend it with the trees. It's kind of hard to get through forest than just plain land and flat road. So that's something to know as well. Oh no, my annotations are gone. So yeah, those are some ways territoriality is maintained. Now we'll learn about the concept of a shatterbelt and apply it to the Koreas. So shatterbelts are regions endangered by local conflicts, and this can be by neighboring states. So in Europe, shatterbelts can exist for a country caught in the middle of someone else's conflict. When Yugoslavia broke up, there was a bunch of shatterbelts around there. And then in Korea, that kind of region has local conflicts and tension regarding this. In the United Kingdom, when Brexit occurred, there's shatterbelts there because it's a tough topic. There's a lot of tension regarding it. There were conflicts and protests because of it. So another example. So yeah. So in Korea, the Korean War led to conflicts internally. And then South Korea and North Korea aren't on the best terms. So that creates a shatterbelt in the region as well. It's basically bad vibes. Bad political vibes. So yeah. And that's just shatterbelt. It's a pretty quick concept. Now let's go back to territoriality. Look at this. And we're not going to look at a political example. But how does the gross territoriality affect the value of the seats? And another definition of territoriality, which is what I would put in FRQ, is it's the connection of people and their culture and economic systems to their land and property. So how does this gross territoriality affect the value of the seats? Well, we can see here that there is a decline in the quantity of the seats. With a decline in quantity, this makes them more rare. So people are going to do more to get a seat because there's less seats. So this is going to raise the desire or the need for the seats. And with an increasing desire, we also see an increase in the value of a seat as well. And we'll learn about this with economics in Unit 7. But this is kind of a cool thing to point out. Because when you have more of something, or when there's less of something, it's worth more. Alright, let's look a little bit more with choke points. So, look at the map. And can you tell me a similarity? Well, you can't really tell me. But can you think of a similarity between choke points? We see the Panama Canal, we see the Suez Canal, the Strait of Malacca, the Strait of Hormuz, the Turkish Straits. So yeah, what are some similarities? Well, we see straits and canals. These are very narrow pathways of water that ships can travel through. And that's what a choke point is. It's very narrow pathways that ships and boats travel through that can be easily blocked and cause economic issues worldwide if they are blocked. And a lot of these are man-made as well. The Panama Canal is primarily man-made. So that's something else to know as well. And something cool about territoriality with choke points is the governments that have access to these choke points can make a lot of money by the ships coming in as well, because within 24 nautical miles of their water, typically, sometimes it might be 12, they have to pay custom duties for that country. So that's something cool to know. And you'll learn more about that in topic 4.5. So let's look at an example of a choke point being blocked. This is the Suez Canal near the Middle East. And it was blocked in March 2021. This is a pretty recent event. So yeah. Now, the Suez Canal is important because it accounts for 12% of global trade. A lot of it is oil and other raw material extracting So oil's a big part. What are the effects of this? The increase in oil prices as oil cannot be shipped. So there's a lack of oil for a certain period of time, so oil cannot be shipped, so the prices for oil are going to increase because the quantity of oil at the time decreased. And this was worldwide because they trade with countries around the world. And these countries trade oil, and the countries use oil in other countries, and blah, 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 blah. So this is going to have worldwide effects. Alright, now we're going to learn about our final concept, neocolonialism, which is the concept you're probably never going to hear about again after this video, but it's very important. And it's basically, the neo means new. I'll write that down there. So, with it being the with it meaning new, what do you think about this? Well, it's just the modern version of colonization. And it's economic domination and globalization or other influence of another country without direct military or political control. So, it's not your country. So China neocolonizes in Africa, but Africa is not China's land. So that's kind of the difference there. And China's present in 39 African countries. That's a lot of countries. So that's big evidence of neocolonialism. And they're extracting fossil fuels, goods, and raw materials, and they're issuing loans to these African countries because they're paying them to extract them and give them to China, and China's going to use them. Remember, China's a big industrial country, so they're going to use a lot of this. They have the biggest population in the world as well, so they got to feed the people with some food. Fossil fuels can fuel their industrialization. So that's a bunch of cool stuff. And why Africa specifically? Well, Africa doesn't have very developed countries. So they are, I'll put this in green because it's to do with money. They are, I'll put the dollar sign there. That's not really a good dollar sign. They are cheap. They have cheap labor, cheap goods, cheap land, cheap everything for them to neocolonize. So they're going to take all these goods, invest Africa into, doing this, and then they're going to ship it back to China. And they're giving loans to African countries to help them neocolonize. So when they get money from China, they just have to pay back their loans. So they're not really developing in any way from this at all. So the gain for Africa is not that low, and then China is not that high. So the political cartoon here shows Africa is being milked for money by China. They're being milked dry because a lot of these resources, like fossil fuels, are not renewable. We learned about this in Unit 1. And that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe. It's free. It really does help me out and encourages me to make more videos. There's a card above the video for my other AP Human videos. There's some video suggestions. If you haven't watched those yet, go watch them. They're very, very cool. And yeah, do that for Q screen. I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.